Are you ready?
Oh, yeah! It's still real to me, damn it! Barack Lesnar! Woo!
I knew you'd come. Awesome!
Ladies and gentlemen, yes, this is not a joke. We are finally back doing a brand new episode of the Sunday Night Slam here on TBK Magazine and TBKRadio.com.
Yeah.
My name is Richard, and joining me is my partner in life and on this show, Miss Ashley.
Hi.
It's been a minute.
I mean, maybe more than a minute.
And life kind of got in the way. I got tired of wrestling for a while. It just happens.
I mean, everybody goes through low points, and sometimes it's better to have no show at all than a bad show.
Let me explain this summer to you for wrestling fans. It has been one of the most, with the exception of a few bright spots, a few, how do I put this, 5-star Meltzer matches, if you will. Without a few of those, there have been very few good high points this summer.
Yeah, it's been a little bad.
And WWE has not made that any better. Now, there's been some real, like, I thought the last show, which was what? I don't even remember now. Was it Extreme Rules? No, I don't.
Maybe?
Whatever the last WWE pay-per-view was surprisingly good. So I've kind of got a lot of hope going into SummerSlam tonight, but that's a little bit later. I will tell you this. We are back finally. This is our SummerSlam preview show. We're going to talk about NXT Takeover. We're going to talk about the NWA. Holy hell. Is this 1988 or 2019? We're going to talk about Ring of Honor. We're going to talk about All Elite. We're going to talk about NXT. But first, I think the big thing that has happened while we were gone is the passing of legendary Hall of Famer, maybe one of the greatest NWA champions of all time. You could argue it at least.
Yeah.
The one and only Harley Race. Maybe the most badass individual in wrestling history if you listen to stories told by other wrestlers. He passed away at the age of 76. As a fan, I came into the Harley Race party a little late.
Well, I mean, just because of when you were born.
Yeah.
It wasn't your choice.
But Harley Race's career was winding down in the WWF. I do believe, I do believe he is the first guy to ever take the table bump in WWF television.
Wow.
1987 Saturday Night's Main Event.
That's real impressive.
Against Hulk Hogan. I think it was episode 2.
Side note, that would be like right before he retired, too.
Yeah, he retired in 1990. So the dude, as NWA champion, he traveled across the country and across the world representing the brand, which at that time was a much bigger deal to go outside of your country as the traveling champ.
Yes.
Because usually it was just you would be in a territory. Harley Race's major territory was the Kansas City territory, so a little home for me here.
I mean, it's not like you have an affinity for people from where you're at or anything.
That's why Baron Corbin's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time.
Exactly.
I will argue that all day long.
I mean, you can keep arguing it, but I'm...
You know who's not on SummerSlam tonight? Baron Corbin. It was Extreme Rules.
I'm not missing?
Baron Corbin.
I mean, maybe that sounds mean.
Yeah, well, it happens. But Harley Race is passing. But like I said, as a fan, I grew up with Harley being more the end of his career and then a manager. And I feel Harley as a manager was very underrated. Now, was he Bobby Heenan level? No. Was he better than a lot of the managers in the 80s? Yeah. I would say so.
Really?
I would always put Harley Race, I wanted Harley Race to always get his comeuppance as a manager. Because he was trying to take down one of my childhood favorites.
Which was?
Sting.
Oh.
How do you hate on Sting? You don't.
I mean, somebody has to.
But apparently Harley Race was managing Big Van Vader.
Yeah.
Lex Luger. I think a lot of our WCW programming that we've watched when Sting won the world title for the second time against Lex Luger, Harley Race was his manager, or Harley Race was Lex Luger's manager. Anytime we've seen Sting and Vader, Harley Race was his manager.
I mean,
the Mick Foley, the Cactus Jack, Big Van Vader match, which I know we've watched.
yes, we have.
Harley Race was his manager, or Vader's manager at the time. Harley Race was very much in a lot of the big feuds of the like early 90s in WCW. And knowing that now, it's like he really was one of the best heels in the company at that time.
Which is strange to remember him mostly as...
He was a heel like 90%.
As a manager, though.
Yeah, no.
It's strange to remember him as that when he had a 30-year wrestling career. But at the time,
like for
when
me,
he was big as a wrestler, it's the 60s and 70s, and people don't think about that ever.
No, and when you look at a Mount Rushmore of wrestling, and this argument's been like, who would you put on your Mount Rushmore? And then there's always like Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair.
And I mean, that's not discounting them.
No, but I feel like you wouldn't put any modern president on Mount Rushmore. I'm sorry, you just wouldn't. So I don't think putting anybody that's 20 years or more gone would be on Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
However, Ric Flair, yeah, I'm not going to argue that. Hulk Hogan, yeah, sure. I think Bruno should be on there, and I think Harley Race should be the fourth.
That's an impressive four.
Harley Race Harley Race was the just carried the torch for the NWA in the 70s. Harley Race to the NWA is exactly what Bruno was to the WWF. Without a doubt. Even though I know Harley lost the title a little bit more frequently than Bruno did.
Well, you got to keep things new and fresh.
Bruno also sold out, put butts in Madison Square Garden. I know Harley had a couple of matches there. I mean, Harley's going to be most known for his feud with Ric Flair. In all honesty. I mean, but the dude was one of the first people in the country to ever body slam Andre the Giant. He had tremendous feuds in Japan. I mean, Harley Race, honestly, he may have passed away in flesh, but his legend will live forever. Because guys like Triple H honor him constantly.
Yeah.
And with the NWA still going strong, and how Nick Aldis did the interview with him on YouTube, and you can watch that on the NWA channel right now. 25 minutes of Nick Aldis trying to conduct an interview where Nick Aldis looks like just a boy looking at like a mentor, and it is unfreaking real to watch. It's so good.
And that's the kind of things that you need to find now, because there are a lot of guys in that age range that aren't going to be around forever.
No, and I want more of that.
There's so many stories that we probably haven't heard just because nobody's thought to ask them.
And I want to hear more stories. Like, I want to just hear interviews with every legend you can get your hands on. I don't care how old they are or where they're from. Unless it's like certain people I'm tired of hearing from constantly. And I'm not going to name names.
But I mean, there's a lot, I feel, of untapped potential there for people that, they didn't really do that much, but they were there.
Yeah, and
they probably saw and did some stuff.
The cool thing with Harley is after his career ended as a manager, he started his own wrestling school in Missouri and trained some of the biggest names to come through WWE, WWE, TNA, AEW, Trevor Murdoch being one, Curtis Axel. CM Punk was there for a little bit during his early days. I mean, there's a lot of guys that came through that school that have gone on to do some really big things. I don't know. Referee John Cone might be the biggest name to come through that school because his son's a former WWE Tag Team Champion.
Yeah.
I mean, but yeah, there's a lot. Curtis Axel, both Ted DiBiase's kids train there.
Wow.
I mean, when you think of wrestling school, I mean, would you not want to train with one of the greatest of all time?
I mean, you can't argue that.
And I know the school's going to continue on, so that's not a big thing. His legacy will always live on. If you get a chance, if you're ever in Missouri and you see a World League Wrestling show happening near your town, go check it out. It's a pretty good show. But Harley Race's legend will live forever. And I think that was the big thing to talk about this week because I wanted to make sure that was discussed. Are you okay? You just had a confused look.
Well, I was trying to figure out like a list of alumni from his wrestling school.
Yeah, we could do this all day. Yeah.
Tommaso Ciampa.
Yeah, Tommaso Ciampa. Future NXT.
Beer City Bruiser.
Yeah.
Simon Gotch.
Yeah. I mean, there's a list. It's a pretty good list of names. I don't know if there's anyone right now. Tommaso Ciampa might be the biggest one now.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a damn good run.
I think that's going to be number one currently.
I don't think he's trained many women to move on to the next level.
The only woman on this, no, there's two. There's Lucy Mendez and Amy Hennig.
I haven't seen anywhere else. So outside World League.
I don't know.
That's Kurt Hennig's daughter. I'll let you know that.
Well, I assumed because you know the name. Like, you don't just pick that name.
So, adding into the wrestling lore, with Harley gone, the NWA would be something that we didn't think we'd be discussing, but here we are.
2019, new NWA news.
You know, last year, when All In was going on, the NWA title was such a prominent feature of that show, and I think it really did make it more relevant.
Yeah.
The NWA just pulled out of their deal with Ring of Honor. Let's make that clear. Let's throw that out there. Ring of Honor is going to be a topic next week. I'm going to let everyone know that now. There's so much to talk about this week. But now, and I want everyone to let this marinate, to quote one of my favorite TV shows. Is Ring of Honor going to be the casualty of war?
I mean,
I'm not saying that they're going to fold, but I really want everyone to sit and think about, are they going to be a casualty of a war? And not a war that we're thinking, not between WWE and AEW, but because everyone's got to be under contract.
yeah.
WWE's running shows, AEW's running shows, and New Japan now has started running shows without Ring of Honor. Mm-hmm. Ring of Honor might be the casualty in the and the NWA's gone. So now what?
Do they have enough of their own talent to be able
Will
to...
there be enough talent left by the end of next year?
Yeah.
That's the bigger question. So will Ring of Honor be around in 2022? That's everyone's that's topic for next week's episode. That's our major topic next week.
We will discuss it at a later date.
The NWA did announce, Billy Corgan, on their YouTube channel that they are going to be returning to weekly television in Atlanta, Georgia. Beginning the first taping is the first weekend of last Saturday of October or September and the first day of October.
Which seems like ridiculously soon to just now be announcing this.
Does it though? If it's a television studio, you only have to put 200 people in there. Is it really that bad?
No.
But they only have 3 names under contract. They have James Storm. Well, I guess 4. I wonder if Allison Kay is under contract or not. Because she's the NWA Women's Champion. Mm-hmm. But you have Allison Kay. You have the national champion in James Storm. You have Eli Drake. And you have Nick Aldis. You cannot run a TV show with 4 names alone, kids.
I mean, you can for a couple weeks.
No, there's NWA. There's Championship Wrestling out of Hollywood, which is like an NWA thing. But there's a lot of guys there that have went on to bigger and better things already. Most notably, Peter Avalon, who is now
Yeah.
one of the librarians in All Elite. So where does it, who's out there? Is there anyone out there? And I mean, this is a great opportunity for guys and gals who've not been seen on the national stage to get seen on the national stage. Because I think what Billy Corgan and Dave Lagana have been doing with the NWA has been nothing but fantastic.
It's brought new life into one of the oldest
We
championships.
gave a fuck about Flip Gordon and Nick Aldis enough to drive to fucking Nashville because of Dave Lagana and fucking Billy Corgan.
I'm aware of this fact.
That is I'm cursing, but that's the situation where that was such an epic moment because they made you think Flip could win. And not saying that Flip couldn't have won, because I think Flip's going to be a world champion one day. But I'm not wrong, right?
No, you're not.
Because that whole storyline with trying to get him booked for All In, and then they teased it so much with Flip meeting Billy, and it's like, oh my god,
This is really gonna happen.
this is such a wonderful story.
And that's what this is all about.
We know they can.
That story.
Dave Lagana used to be the former head writer at WWE Raw. Lagana can write wrestling. That's not it. Like, Lagana was writing at one of the best times of Raw. That's not an issue here. I know Billy Corgan loves wrestling. He was around in the original ECW. Like, there's a lot of Smashing Pumpkins in the original ECW, and you can find it if you search it. This is not a problem. But can these two guys do this with the NWA without any affiliation with Ring of Honor, without any affiliation to Cody and the Bucks, without any affiliation to any Japan organization? Like, can they make this brand something special again? Because now, and I know there's the tag champions, and the tag champions are in Ring of Honor. I don't think that's probably going to be the case much longer. They haven't pulled him off PCO and Brody Lee yet. But I know it's coming.
Well, yeah, if they can't go with them, then...
But I'm just saying, can they make wrestling fans out there, which right now the market is fucking saturated to no end anyway, care? That's where this is going to be.
Well, we're also in this... We're in a unique situation here versus what it's been in the past, where you don't have to choose.
Where it's like one major promotion and then everything else is just secondary. That's how it's been for the last 15 years.
I mean, it's doing great for them that they're not trying to tour, not trying to tape in big places. Like, they're going to be taping on a soundstage.
Yeah.
It's going to be a very small crowd in
Have
a
you
very
ever seen a TV
environment.
studio
Yes.
tape? Isn't it fantastic to see?
It kind of is. But it's a very small place in a very controlled environment. And there are still so many people out there not under contract that are great, that you see pop up on these indie shows that maybe you've seen personally, ones that you see on stuff like Wrestle Circus, on other
Which
things.
we have to talk about at some point.
Yeah, I know. Like the things that you'll find streaming.
I'll give a name who we know, but only because we've been to an independent in our area. Mm-hmm. Jackson Crawley. He wrestles at Cape Championship Wrestling. He is a guy that is good enough to be on the major market. I don't know how well the character would translate over in a major market, but
I feel like it could work.
Because everyone loves the horror genre. So yeah, no, that, or at least a lot of people love the horror genre. I think he's talented enough to be in a spot where if the NWA wanted something, he would be a good fit for the NWA show.
Yes.
It would put him in a national scene where right now I think the NWA is replacing what Ring of Honor's been doing for the last few years and giving us all the new names.
Somebody is always going to have to be out there to give
It's
small starting out people a national audience.
It's either right now the NWA or GCW, because I think Ring of Honor is losing the spot hard.
Like, it is one of those things that before you can make it to a major top promotion, you have to go through smaller ones.
You have to prove yourself somewhere.
And this is a great opportunity for that. And it's a company and a championship that's been there. Like, this is not something that just popped up out of nothing.
There's more lineage with this one, yeah.
Which gives this a little bit more credibility, honestly, I feel.
Especially
than some of the
starting
other
in
things.
Atlanta. Like, if you're going to do a show, you might as well do it in Atlanta or Charlotte at that point. Like, I mean, and when AEW runs Charlotte...
Tradition.
By the way, when AEW runs Charlotte, guaranteeing automatic sellout. I'm calling it now, because they're going to run the Charlotte Coliseum.
Well, yeah.
Calling it. I'm excited to see this, because I figure it's going to be on YouTube or Fight right out of the gate, and I figure it'll be free, because they're not going to charge. They're not going to pull the TNA thing where they charge you for every week. I don't feel like that can work in today. Like what it could 18 years ago, where you could do a weekly wrestling episodic pay-per-view and people pay $8 for it. It's going to work because that $8 every week costs as much as one WWE show. You could justify it. But now you can spend that much on the network and see every pay-per-view ever.
Wrestling is so much more affordable and accessible than it's been in the past that unfortunately it does hurt some of these other companies where they have to run free shows. Like, it's not an option. It's going to have to be free to be able to get people to watch it.
Like AEW running
people want
Fyter
to
Fest.
watch it, then they'll pay for it once they know they want to see it. But you have to prove to them you don't want to miss this first.
And I think that's kind of one of the big stories going on in the world of wrestling right now is the NWA doing this, AEW announcing their next 2 TV tapings, their first TV taping completely selling out.
Well, yeah. Not surprise
Not
there.
surprise, especially with the main event announcement of the Elite of Kenny and the Bucks versus Chris Jericho and 2 mystery partners, which then opens up Pandora's effing box because we don't know whose contracts will be up by October 2nd anywhere.
They might not know who yet.
I have read so many names. By the way, you want to talk about a company who's kicking ass no one's talking about? Impact. If you guys haven't checked out Impact in a while, you should. Bound for Glory is in Chicago. Just want to point that out. And it could be shaping up to be one of the best shows of the year.
Wow.
I don't know what's up with Impact right now. I wish people would get on their level. I've read a rumor. Again, you can read things online, take it with a grain of salt, right?
Yeah.
That we're going to see some AEW or Impact people in AEW.
Oh.
I don't know how true that is.
Well, I mean, kind of across the board, it's not surprising to see people showing up in other promotions because nobody is under an exclusivity contract outside of
AEW are now.
only some of them.
Well, no. This past week was Joey Janela's last GCW show. There will be no more spring breaks, I think. Marco is done. There's like Luchasaurus and like I think PWG's Battle of Los Angeles is the last show. For a lot of guys. Which I mean, Bola, I feel like no matter what, I feel like, there's going to be some of these guys who did these independent shows. They're going to be like, you can go do Bola.
Like
That's the independent level of WrestleMania. You can go do Bola.
yeah.
So that's happening. But AEW announced they're going to be in Philadelphia and Boston. Or I guess Boston, Philadelphia back in the 2 weeks. So that's coming up. Their first show October 2nd. And then the other news broke that NXT could be airing on FS1 on Wednesdays. It's not 100% yet. But are you fucking kidding me?
I mean, nobody is surprised by this information, right? They've been wanting to put NXT on a network, which is great.
I think NXT deserves to be on. In fact, I think NXT deserves to be on Fox more than SmackDown, but that's a whole nother argument for another
SmackDown's
day.
not terrible.
Yeah, but at this point, I would rather the NXT product would do better with an actual sports audience than SmackDown.
True statement. And maybe they'll get there at some point. But I would not be surprised in the least for them to put it up on the same night.
At the same fucking time.
Even though that's not a thing anymore. Literally,
Yeah.
so many people have DVR capabilities at this point. It does not matter.
Okay, so there's probably, 2 matches that NXT could give us that could rival that 6-man? 2?
Yeah.
And that would be a returning Tommaso Ciampa getting a shot at the NXT championship. Mm-hmm. Or, I mean, I really don't know. Maybe Matt Riddle in a spot against Adam Cole.
Maybe.
But outside of that, NXT is going to do well on FS1, but it's not going to
does well regardless.
But it won't do as well as AEW on TNT because TNT is in more homes. But does it really fucking matter? Because NXT is still going to end up on the network. I don't know how fast because that has not been revealed. But NXT is still going to end up on the network. More people are still going to tune into the network probably to watch NXT than to go out of your way to watch FS1. And even if you do, you can watch 2 wrestling shows in a night if you DVR them.
Yeah. This is not the age of the Monday Night Wars where you have to pick one or the other. Oh, this is such a big deal. I have to pick my favorite and that's what's going to do well. No, you can literally watch everything. It's not even hard.
No, there's look, the network's going to show all the episodes of NXT eventually. AEW shows are going to be, I think, if I read correctly, all their shows will be on replay on Bleacher Report.
There you go.
So that's another one. There's going to be ways to get every match out there. That's great. Not a problem.
I mean, let's not even pretend like there's not going to be bootleg versions of these out on the
on
internet for
YouTube,
free.
and yeah. There's streaming
you're going to have
sites.
to hunt for it and it might mess up your computer, but you can find it.
Yeah, no, we've had to do that before for certain indie shows because Fight TV was down and you want to watch a certain indie show and you had to go out of your way to find it. And it's
Yeah, there is always a way. But there is no need and no reason to try to go head to head.
I get it.
It does not make sense in the current market, though.
I think it's trying to cater to those people who are clamoring for, hey, we want a war, let's have a war.
But it's not a war. It's never gonna.
It will be a war, but I think it's going to be a completely different war than what people expect. I think this is going to be more. I'm really happy that social media was not around in the 90s because I don't know if I could have handled WCW versus WWF fans. Because I'm telling you right now, at times when it's AEW versus WWE, and I don't want to say fans, I'm going to say stans. When it's when it's AEW and WWE stans warring with each other on Twitter, it makes you just want to stick your head in a vat of acid.
I don't want to watch anything anymore. You have ruined it. You have ruined all of this. And I'm just going to walk away now.
Like, why do you have... It's always which show's going to be better, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you can't decide which show's going to be better until the week of that show, and then you watch the shows. And honestly, comparing AEW to NXT is probably the most logical, because that's going to be probably the closest in action. But technically, AEW would be the equivalent of their Raw, so wouldn't that be what you want to compare it to?
Technically.
Or SmackDown, because SmackDown does premiere on Fox the same fucking week as AEW. It debuts on TNT, and I'm like, that's going to be a big week to be a fan. Holy shit.
It's going to be a good week to be a fan.
Raw, then AEW NXT, and then SmackDown, 205's thrown in there somewhere. I mean, it's going to be a fun time to be a fan.
Things are looking up. And none of it's going to be the end of the world. Nothing is going to be for sure better than something else because certain people are involved or not involved or somebody else is in charge. Like, I feel like even in the darkest times, everything puts out some pretty good product. Like, we're watching the top in the world, regardless of which
company they're with,
which show they're on. This is this is the upper tier of talent available currently.
And I am so happy to see all of these guys and gals getting a chance to just explode on the national scene. And finally, the other news coming from AEW this week is All Out announced, we know a few matches for All Out since that's now 3 weeks from yesterday. Mm-hmm. We're going to see the main event for the AEW World Championship, Chris Jericho against Hangman Adam Page. I don't know how I feel about that one just yet. I did call that, though, at during Double or Nothing, so just want to point that out.
Shut up.
Don't
rub that in.
Jon Moxley and Kenny Omega. We're going to see the Dark Order versus... is it the Best Friends? I think it's the Dark Order versus the Best Friends, with the winners getting a bye in the tag tournament. Mm-hmm. I think we're getting Awesome Kong and Aja Kong at All Out. I think that has not been announced yet, but I think it's coming, which would be a definite women's match.
That is something else.
But the match they announced this week, and of course Shawn Spears and Cody, because that makes a crap ton of sense. And then the triple threat with Janela and I can't think of Darby Allin and Jimmy Havoc, which is going to be crazy. Ugh. That's the match that last year at All In would have had the freaking Cracker Barrel spot. So that's the match to look forward to, I think. But this week, they announced another Casino Battle Royale, but for the women.
Yeah.
And whoever wins this will become one of the first people to get a shot at the AEW Women's Championship, which they're going to crown the champion when they premiere on TNT.
Which is super exciting.
That's huge. So we probably know most of the women. We know Britt Baker's probably going to be in this. We know there's going to be a few women here and there.
Yeah.
But this week alone, they announced the return of Jazz to the national scene. Who, if you've not seen Jazz, I don't think Jazz has been in WWE since 2003 or 4. But she was the longest reigning NWA Women's Champion in the last few years. So she's going to be on the national scene. Eva Lise, who WWE let go. And then she kind of blew up. Like, she's really good and became really good in the ring. But the one that kind of just caught all of us off guard,
Who?
Teal Piper, who is the daughter of Roddy Piper. I don't know if she has any in-ring, if she's done any work in-ring or not. You can look her up on YouTube. You can't find her. If I'm wrong, please send me a link. Because I've done it. As I'm like, it's the daughter of Hot Rod. This should happen. She can cut promos too. So they're showing the video on the Road to All Out, and there's Jake the Snake chain smoking as the dealer for this, and that's great. And he throws the card to her, and she quotes her dad's line from almost the movie where it's like, and I'm all out of bubble gum. I'm here. Yeah. She does something like that, or I've changed the questions, and I was just like, this is fantastic. But can she wrestle?
I mean, hopefully.
Because that's the big question. And then, of course, Brandy said she's going to be in it. I figure Nyla Rose. I figure we'll see some of the Joshi girls. I feel there's going to be a good mix, but I do believe there are going to be some names in that Battle Royal that we have not seen or are expecting.
Okay.
And that's one reason I think the Impact thing comes in handy, because I think we're going to see, like, Rosemary or Jordan Grace.
That would be wonderful.
I want, like, Jordan Grace is killing Impact right now, by the way. Like, Jordan Grace is taking over Impact slowly. I called that last year too. Like, I said she's a star.
I love her though.
Oh, thank God. And then, like, there's so many women out there that have not had their chance. This is an opportunity that I never expected to see.
I love to see it though.
I with the first Casino Battle Royale, we got introduced to Luchasaurus. I had no idea who Luchasaurus was. Now I love fucking Luchasaurus. Like, I cannot get enough of this fucking dinosaur. It's kind of the same way with Jungle Boy. I had no idea who Jungle Boy was, other than he was Luke Perry's son. And now I'm fucking love me some Jungle Boy. Marco is part of that. There's some names from that Battle Royal that I'm like, yes, let's have those names. I want to see more. Like Dustin Thomas, the wrestler with the one leg.
Yeah.
Who fractured his leg this past weekend, his good leg, against Joey Janela.
Oh, no.
In Joey Janela's going away match from GCW. But, like, I was so fucking stoked. I'm so stoked for that. Like, that pre-show Battle Royal has me on the edge of my seat already. Because I don't know who's going to be in it.
That's the best part, is getting all of this surprise.
It helps. It helps a lot, especially when you're a new company and you're trying to build for that. Because this is the last show before October 2nd.
Yeah.
There's not going to be another show before they go on pay-per-view. That's it. This is it. This is your last chance. So
I believe in them.
I think it's going to be a good show. I hope it clicks. We'll talk more about that in the coming weeks, of course, but we had to get into the who's been announced for the Casino Battle Royale. So, yeah, Nyla Rose, Britt Baker, Yuka Sakazaki, Allie, Brandy Rhodes, Teal Piper, Evilise, Jazz, and 13 other opponents still to be announced.
And 13 others.
And
great.
13 others. That's going to be fun. That's going to be one of those moments that I'm looking forward to. Yeah, and then and the Lucha Brothers and the Young Bucks in a ladder match for the AAA Tag Team Championships also happening at All Out.
Oh.
So right now, All Out's shaping up to be a pretty strong show, but that's still to come. Making sure I've got all my notes down, and because there's a lot to cover this week.
There's a bunch going on, and honestly, we're not going to get to all of it this week. Like,
We've covered a lot.
We covered a lot. There is some deeper conversations to be had, but
we're going to save a lot of that for next week.
Main point here being we have a pay-per-view tonight.
Before we get to that, let's talk about last night.
Last night was great.
NXT Takeover Toronto 2. I don't know if they called it 2 or not, but NXT Takeover Toronto. The setup for what is about to be the next big show. We are going into War Games in November, so this is the last takeover before War Games 3.
Yeah.
And I have no idea where the fuck they're going to go. But after last night, my mind was blown. The kickoff match was the Street Profits defending the NXT Tag Team Champions against the championship against the Undisputed Era of Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish. I had no expectations going into this match. I fucking love the Street Profits. You could give me Street Profit matches and promos all year long, and I would be the happiest fan alive. I love these guys so damn much. So damn much. And I love Undisputed, of course. But it seemed like after the second match of the night, though, the crowd just kind of died till the main event. Like, it was just like, what happened?
Like, this is not bad wrestling. I just feel the crowd kind of checked out.
We'll get to that. But the Street Profits win in 16 minutes and 55 seconds, defeating the Undisputed Era, which completely surprised the shit out of me because I said that. I was like, this is setting up where they all have the gold at the end of the night and setting up for War Games. And then,
nope.
No, they fucked that over. Then I was wrong. Next match, Io Shirai versus Candice LeRae. I'm going to tell you this. The aesthetic of the entrances alone was worth it.
I'm really, really enjoying the bad Io.
Heel Io Shirai is a sexual orientation. Because there is no way. Like, you see that entrance and you're just like, damn. I don't know what else to say. It was awesome.
We're done here.
Io Shirai killed it. And then here's Candice LeRae coming out in just colorful candy and just fantastic entrance. And they put on a fucking women's match.
No joke.
I'm not going to go out on and say it's the best women's match in NXT history, but
great,
it's damn good. It's one of the best matches definitely in women's WWE history. Like, it's top 15 best women's matches of all time in WWE. Hands down. Like, I enjoyed this. Like, they put on a wrestling fucking clinic. Io Shirai gets the win with the moonsault. But just the nods to their indie career, like Candice's indie career, just unfreaking believable all night long. And then Gargano tweeted, who's Candice LeRae's husband, Candice freaking LeRae, and just he was so proud. It was great.
I love the two of them together. They make me so happy.
Velveteen Dream defends the NXT North American Championship in a triple threat against Pete Dunne and Roderick Strong. Velveteen Dream came out to the Mounties theme. I'm the Mountie. Fucking love that.
I would have appreciated it more, I think, if he had come out in like an actual.
I thought that's what he was going to
Mountie
come out, and
getup.
then they hit the Toronto Raptors dancing, and I'm like, oh.
Less excited about that.
Yeah, no, it was great.
I would have paid to see him come out on a horse, like full Mountie gear, hat and all, on a horse.
Like, just Velveteen Dream it up, Mountie gear, and then just him out on a horse. Like,
yep,
it was great. No, but Pete Dunne and Roderick Strong, they have a decent triple threat match. I don't think this was the best triple threat I've seen in NXT. It was good. I don't know. I feel like the middle of this show, I feel like after Io Shirai and Candice LeRae, the next two matches for me didn't click. Like,
was
I
it
thought,
just because the matches before it were too good?
I would say that normally, but I don't know if the triple threat just didn't click with me as well as it should have. I thought Roderick Strong was on fire 90% of that match anyway. Velveteen Dream ends up pinning Pete Dunne and then wins 1-2-3. 17 minutes, 24 seconds to retain. I'm at this point now with NXT, especially with the tag titles, because if you take Undisputed out, you only have the Forgotten Sons, and you have Breezango. Like, there's not many teams left in NXT, and it's kind of like, that's kind of one of those issues for me where I'm sitting here going, is there anyone really left in the tag division to go after these guys? And it's the same way now for the North American with me. There's no one else. Like,
they're at an awkward in-between phase with
which
NXT.
is not a good time to go live 2 hours on a Wednesday.
It is not. I'm hoping that they've got some people,
unless they're going to send some fuckers
waiting
down.
I'm hoping they've got some people waiting in the wings, just like right there, ready to.
Well, Chelsea Green has not showed up yet. And I know that she was injured, but she's, I think, clear. There's a couple other women who have not showed up and cleared yet. So,
They've got a ton of people that have signed that we're just not seeing a lot of, and I'm hoping that they can get that all straightened out before TV actually starts.
Shayna Baszler defeats Mia Yim by submission in 14:35. I think the women's division's stale. And I know, with the exception of Io Shirai and Candice LeRae, who killed it.
I don't think it's the women's division that's stale. I think it's the champion.
I love Shayna, but I think Shayna doesn't have competition. I think she does, but I don't think anyone's at that spot. Like, here's Shayna, and then, like, everyone else is still so far below Shayna. And I know that's not the case, because I think they may have blown it with Io. I think they should have pulled the trigger on her becoming champion.
Yeah.
But, because you have to call up Shayna eventually. But I think this is leading to Survivor Series, because I think Shayna gets called up Survivor Series weekend.
Which is, I mean, that's fine.
I still think 4 horsewomen versus 4 horsewomen's coming. If Sasha Banks will pull her head out of her ass, I think stuff will. Oh, don't get me started. I'm at the point now where I'm just tired of hearing about Sasha Banks.
Uh-oh.
I just either shit or get off the pot. That's all I ask for. Get in the ring or don't. But yeah, Shayna Baszler defeats Mia Yim, and this match for me just did nothing. Like, I feel like this one was, like, I enjoyed the triple threat at least, but this one I'm just like, I checked out. I love Mia Yim though. Fucking love Mia Yim. I thought she was gonna win. I really did. I was like, oh.
I was hoping.
And then the main event. And then the main event. Adam Cole, Johnny Gargano, 2 out of 3 falls for the NXT Championship. The first fall is a traditional wrestling match, which Adam Cole chose, and Johnny Gargano hits him with the chair. Cole gets the first fall.
That was a great ending to that.
And Gargano just kind of shrugs and then just starts beating the piss out of him with the chair, because the second fall is the street fight. And then the third fall, which Johnny Gargano won by tap out. And then the third fall happened to be inside a cage with all of these weapons around the ring, or around the cage, including barbed wire.
Yep.
Which didn't really play a huge part of it.
But
that ending, like, he kicked out of 2 Panama Sunrises. Gargano is superhuman. I don't think this is the best match of the 3 that they had. I think the first one's still the best one. I think the first 2 out of 3.
Though.
This one, I think Gargano winning might have actually made that first match the best of the 3. Because I really did. The emotion there, everything was there. I don't know, but that ending where they both just fell off and hit the tables, and Adam Cole just happened to roll over on him, was fucking brilliant.
It was a good end.
I was like, that's how this match should have ended. Like, that's a great way. If Johnny Gargano's getting called up, that's the fucking way to do it. Because 1, he still looks like a badass that could take a beating. 2, I know Adam Cole is the future. Everyone's high on Adam Cole right now. I mean, everybody. I think even Vince sees, from what I've read and from certain people, that Vince sees Adam Cole as the next Shawn Michaels.
Wow.
And I see that. I could see that. So, Adam Cole wins. Undisputed celebrates. I thought something was going to happen. That's the end of TakeOver. Was it the best NXT TakeOver? No. Was it worth watching? Yeah, because it's NXT TakeOver. I think it's a middle-of-the-road TakeOver, but that main event's worth it. Jesus. By the way, 46 minutes, 41 seconds for the main event. And that brings us to tonight. And the first time in a long time, I can honestly say that I am excited for a WWE pay-per-view.
Wow.
Yeah. Let me just say this. One of my biggest issues with WWE recently is just that every show is the fucking same.
Yeah.
Tonight, I don't feel that. I don't feel that at all. I feel like there's a lot of difference. When the fuck did that match get added? Okay. I feel tonight's a very special show. I feel like it's going to be a good SummerSlam. I'm hoping I'm not wrong. Are we putting is the fanny pack going up?
Why wouldn't it be?
All right, fanny pack's on the line. I am the fanny pack champion. Has not been defended since AEW's Double or Nothing. But you know what?
Well, I think last night might have been the first pay-per-view that we really sat down and watched since then.
Well, we watched Fyter Fest. And I watched Fight for the Fallen, but that was because we were at a concert that night. All right. What a show. I'm excited for every match but one. Okay, two. Take that back. 2. I'm excited for every match but 2.
Okay.
And that's pretty good.
Well, let's just start at the card and run through this.
Apparently, and I don't know if this is a pre-show match that has been announced, because I have not seen this anywhere, but apparently Apollo Crews is taking on Buddy Murphy.
Okay.
What? Wait, what? When the fuck did this happen? I don't see it listed on WWE's website. Should I just go with the WWE stuff? Does this mean the Cruiserweight title is actually on the main show tonight? Kudos to them if that's true. All right. These are matches that may or may not happen. I don't really know.
This is the list we have, and we're going to pretend like it's real. I'm going to pick Buddy Murphy.
Oh, yeah. SummerSlam kickoff to include 3 huge matches. Okay. I'm also taking Buddy Murphy. Buddy Murphy is a star in the making, kids. Next up, the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships.
Okay.
Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross versus the Iconics in a rematch, since Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross won the Women's Tag Team Championships this past week on WWE Monday Night Raw.
You picking your girls?
Yes. I'm going to take the Iconics.
Okay.
That's a gutsy move. Cruiserweight Championship match. Drew Gulak defends against Onri Locran. Yes, I'm fucking stoked. This is just going to be hard hitting. Holy crap. I'm taking Drew.
I am as well.
Love me some Drew Gulak. Main card, SummerSlam. Let's start with, you know what? Let's start with the United States title match.
Okay.
With what maybe could be one of the best matches of the night. AJ Styles defends the United States Championship against Ricochet. Who do you have?
I am actually going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to pick Ricochet.
Do you remember a couple of years ago at SummerSlam when John Cena and AJ Styles had their match? No one interfered, and AJ went over, and all of us were kind of looking at each other like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Same thing tonight with Ricochet. I see this going in a spot where Ricochet gets the win and becomes a major player.
Which he desperately deserves. He is such a good talent, and I think it's his time.
Next up, let's go. Oh my God, somebody. If it's Kevin Owens versus Shane McMahon, if Kevin Owens loses, he quits WWE. Shane McMahon apparently, and I don't know if the tweet was real, was like, hey, Kevin, if you lose tonight, you could go become elite. So I was like, that's funny. I don't know if it's a real tweet or not, but I'm also picking Kevin Owens. That dude's not leaving anytime soon.
I am too.
Come on.
I'm honestly a little over Shane McMahon matches for right now.
I will say this. Kevin Owens and Shane McMahon have a damn good chemistry.
I'll give you that, but I'm just a little over Shane McMahon matches.
Can we
right
say
now.
something?
Okay.
Is it possible that someone interferes in this match?
Yeah?
Is it possible it's undisputed?
Yeah?
Because every time Kevin Owens gets brought up, because his best friend in wrestling is Adam Cole.
Yeah.
Baby. Like, it's hard to say his name without adding that at the end, by the way. It really is.
Side note, you don't just add that.
No, you have to do the hand thing, too.
You put your hands up, too. Every
time.
single time.
It's possible that Undisputed might help Kevin Owens.
They might.
Something to consider. But I am picking Kevin Owens as well. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. How about this one? Trish Stratus to her hometown of Toronto to take on the Queen Charlotte Flair. You know, there's part of me that wants to say Trish, right? Like, there's
Is there
just
a title
part
on the line here,
No.
or is it just a match?
It's just a match. There's part of me that wants to say Trish wins,
Okay.
but I'm not, because it's in Toronto and I read this is her last match ever. So respect thing usually is that you go out looking at the lights. I'm picking Charlotte to win,
I am too.
but this should be fucking awesome.
I cannot honestly say I don't know if I've ever seen a Trish Stratus match.
Trish is not okay. So, like, you know, it would be a good episode for you at some point. like the progression of Trish Stratus to see where she started and how she finished.
Okay.
Because she was a manager who could not take a bump worth of shit. And then she became one of the best women's wrestlers in the company history.
Wow.
Her and Lita main evented Raw, the first women's match to main event Raw. It's an amazing story. It really is. I love this story of Trish Stratus.
We'll have to figure that one out.
Just announced this week,
Oh, Lord.
Dolph Ziggler versus Goldberg.
What?
So originally this was supposed to be Dolph Ziggler versus The Miz. And at the Raw that I won tickets to, Dolph Ziggler comes out talking about how he's better than all of these legends. He's better than all of these part-timers coming in and taking his spot, including guys like Goldberg. And I looked at everybody around me and went, it's Dolph Ziggler Goldberg at SummerSlam. Because he said it in such a way where, like, when you hear it, you're like, that's the match. So yes, Dolph Ziggler Goldberg is happening.
What?
Yeah, I know.
But
This is one of the two matches I'm not looking forward to.
But what?
Yeah. I'm going to say this match ends in less than a minute.
True statement.
And Goldberg wins. I mean,
Agreed.
This is not a simple match, kids. Or this is really a simple match, I guess, in the long run.
That's just to get Goldberg back on screen.
No, it's probably to make him look better ever since what happened at Saudi Arabia.
With pyro.
Well, it's probably better than what happened at Saudi Arabia.
Well,
I never watched that match. I refuse to watch the shows, but reading everything that happened between Undertaker and
you mean the match that never should have been?
Yeah. The what did they call that? I don't remember what it was, but the Fiend Bray Wyatt against Finn Balor. Knowing what I know now, knowing that Finn has asked for time off, I'm taking Bray Wyatt.
I am too. I was going to anyway because this is his big
coming out
return.
Yeah.
And apparently they don't want Finn to win anything anyway, so it doesn't matter.
WWE SmackDown Women's Championship match. Bayley defends against Ember Moon. This could be a match. This could be a show stealer.
It could be. Both of those ladies are amazing.
It is SummerSlam weekend. Bayley's pretty good on SummerSlam weekend. Who you taking?
Ember Moon.
Oh, wow. I will be different. I will take Bayley. I will go out on a limb because I have thoughts.
Okay.
If somebody decides to get off their ass, this is the night it happens. It's either going to happen with Bayley or it happens with Becky. I want it to happen with Bayley because Bayley Sasha needs to happen for a main fucking championship.
It does.
Just saying it now. And I don't care if it's a secondary show or not. You could build it up around that match, and that match could main event a show.
Yeah, definitely good.
All right. Raw Women's title. Becky Lynch defends against Natalya, and there's so much history here. They came up together in Japan. They wrestled in the Indies in the early 2000s. Such a good story. I'm taking Becky. But I also think Becky's going to get an unwelcome surprise tonight.
They're in Toronto.
Who do you think? Who's in Toronto?
Probably a fucking ton of people that Natalya knows.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. She's in Canada. She's losing. But that's not what I was going to say.
What you got?
Storyline wise, this time last year, who was Natalya's best friend? Do you remember?
She's had so many best friends.
But this best friend doesn't give a damn about her reputation.
Yeah.
And it's been a while since we've seen Ronda Rousey.
It's been a minute.
And I know that she's aching to come back. Like, she misses it. She has said in an interview she's really missing it now. Ronda Rousey, Becky Lynch having a stare down at the end of SummerSlam. Or like just a stare down. Finish. Yeah. Like, that could be worth it. The WWE Universal Championship match, and you can tell what match I'm putting as the main event for my mind tonight. Universal title, Brock Lesnar defends against Seth Rollins. Who do you have?
I refuse to pick Brock Lesnar.
You picking Seth?
Purely because I refuse to pick Brock Lesnar.
I'm picking Brock.
I mean, that's the appropriate answer because he's always going to fucking win.
Well, it's not that. It's because we're getting ready to go into the Fox run and everything, and Brock's going to be champ.
I know. And
I don't want it.
I don't believe in it. It makes me mad, and I'm just not. I will give up my championship just to.
if Seth loses and you still win the championship. Oh, God.
I mean, it could happen, but.
And what I believe is the match of the night, the match with the best story going into it. 10 years of a story. Kofi Kingston defends the WWE Championship against Randy Orton. And what could be maybe the best story they've told with the WWE Champion in a long time.
A little impressive.
Yeah, this story with Kofi, I'm enjoying the Kofi Kingston story.
It's been wonderful, and I'm so happy for him.
I don't know if he walks out WWE Champion tonight. I want him to. Like, this is one of those situations where if Randy wins, you still have the chase. Now you've got Kofi trying to prove to Randy again that he is worth it. Or you have Kofi overcoming the last 10 years of odds.
Yeah.
Like, this is such a good story either way they go.
Which never happens for them.
No, they like Randy right now is in a different place. I don't know. Randy's just been having some decent matches lately, so kudos to you, Mr. Orton. So I don't.
What you got? What you got?
I'm going to take Kofi. I want it. I'm okay with either person winning. And that's something I don't say very often. But I'm taking Kofi.
I did too. It's okay.
This SummerSlam to me seems to be a lot better than the last couple of years. I think this is the last good one. This has been the best looking one since 2016. But that's the one that ended weirdly with Lesnar Orton.
Yeah.
I want this to be good.
Hopefully it will be.
That's all I ask. 3 women's matches. 4, I guess, if you count the tag title match. All the time. It looks decent on paper. No Roman, which is weird. I wonder if we're going to get any in that storyline tonight.
Maybe some interference there.
Yeah, we might get that. We might get that story of like who tried to kill him, because that's been a thing for the last couple of weeks. We could get. I figure we'll have some 24/7 shenanigans during the show.
I sincerely hope we do.
By the way, before we go this week, and we get done with this episode because we're almost done. We want you guys to enjoy SummerSlam and all that jazz. Before we go, I want to talk. I want to eat some crow on something I said.
Do it.
It's like the second time in a week.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed the 24/7 championship.
It's been a blast. Like, I feel it gives you a really good moment of comic relief.
But yet,
And
so over the top comic relief.
It is hilarious.
So when I was at Raw, Maria won it. And Maria's walking around going, I'm the first pregnant champion. And it was so funny because all the guys were trying to, like, they were getting ready to do it. And then they're like, oh. You could just see their delay, just the sadness and pain. And then this last week on Raw, they go to the OBGYN and Mike Kanellis pins her while she's in the stirrup. And then he loses the 24/7 championship to R-Truth dressed as a pregnant woman. And I'm like, this is fantastic. Like, this is the dumbest. And then there's the Drake Maverick aspect of it, where he hasn't consummated his marriage, but he won the 24/7 championship and then lost it at his wedding. His wife now is wrestling on Raw. I mean, it's been so much freaking fun. Like, the night of Raw reunion, that title was made fun, just fun. It does, we shat on it so fucking much because of the way it looked.
I mean,
it does look terrible.
It does not look great, but it is what it is. Like, it's just for fun.
It really does remind me of the Hardcore Championship back in the day where, and I'll show you this sometime, where Crash Holly defends it in a play place. And it is so funny.
I could see that.
Like, they track him down at like a kid's like play, like a bowling alley, like / arcade thing. And they get him in a play place and they're trying to pin him. I don't remember who's in the match with him, but it is so funny. So funny. But yeah, that's what the 24/7 championships reminded me as.
Which is not a bad thing at all.
Next week, we're gonna go over what's going on with Ring of Honor. Their attendance for their Super Summer Show, Supercard or Summer Supercard or whatever it was called, did not look great.
Not at all.
And is that fall on Ring of Honor being owned by Sinclair? Does that fall on the fact that they lost all their big names? Because remember, this is also the same company that just sold out Madison Square Garden less than 6 months ago.
Not on their own, though.
No, but that has to be something that has to be discussed, right? I mean, they did put that many butts in the seats in MSG. That right now, I don't know if they could put 1,500 in a venue. I don't know if any company outside the two big ones now could put 1,500 in a venue. Yeah, maybe Game Changer. Maybe Game Changer. You put that Spring Break name on it.
I mean, it's Spring Break without Joey Janela, though.
I don't know if I'm a little bummed out. That's probably not happening, but we'll talk more about that next week. We'll take a look at what happened at SummerSlam, because something tells me it's going to be an interesting night. Is there anything else you would like to add?
Not that I can think of. I think we've covered about everything we can manage today.
We are going to cover a lot more. This is our show back. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you didn't, well, we'll come to your house with a steel chair.
Oh, rude.
We'll come tag your house with the NWO colors, just spray paint on this.
Possibly.
That's very possible. Yeah.
Maybe that.
Today is Hulk Hogan's birthday.
Woohoo?
I figure he's going to be in Toronto.
Probably.
It's still weird to see him on WWE.
No joke. I told you that when we saw the advertisement for the game.
Yeah, WWE 2K20. Is it 2K20? Is it? Yeah, it's 2K20. Yeah. The cover stars are Roman Reigns and Becky Lynch, and the commercial is fantastic. That's all I'm going to say. Like, I don't know if the gameplay will be any better than it has been for the last 5 years, but the commercial is fucking great.
Baby steps.
That's going to wrap up this edition of SNS. Guys and gals, enjoy SummerSlam, because you know it is the biggest party of the summer. And until next week, if you're going to turn heel on your friends, make sure they're as gullible as Sting.